Greetings, brothers and sisters. Maria and I greet you from the Vril inner earth, from the Vril frozen space of the eternal orgasm. Because Mama's mantra for 4.5 million years has been remember, recover, return. Because in the English language, she says, it's all about Ria. It's all about the time in what happened in the space. That's what we call reality. Like, so much confusion and lack of connection is from a lack of defining terms, misunderstandings. Because one person thinks they know what the other person is talking about, and in the other person's mind is a completely different vibration, right? This is why I don't really talk about it that much, but what actually ended, and this is, your key to suffering, sickness, what ended sickness, wars, grudges on a international global level, Venusian global level? And Mother went on for quite some time talking about that, and I'm adding all this together in this. Christianity placed upon your unconscious thankfulness. In your unconscious, you feel like you're a fucking asshole because you're supposed to be thankful about something and you can't remember what it is. It's and you're not conscious of that. At least, of course, I wasn't. So you're like, I'm thankful to the universe, which don't exist. Well, what do you mean? There's no human. There's no person. The universe is not a person. I know there's books out there and teachers that are like, the universe is conscious. It speaks to you. That's the goddamn black magicians of the true nigger world order. And, for anyone that might get me wrong, that's the worst thing you can call someone where I come from. It has nothing to do with race anymore, at least not in my generation. To me, to others, maybe. And what we're talking about is a horrible, despicable person. And, that's more in this country. There are more N-words who are white. I want to get this through to you. Do you hear me? I know I read every night from Miguel Serrano, and he points out, for a balance, the spiritual things, the white culture that wasn't called white. But if we want, we're willing to be flexible and okay, let's kind of put all of Europe together. It never was, but until World War I, we had a lot to be proud of as far as technology and helping move everyday life for the working man to a better standard, right? Less sickness, less disease. But always in the background was the broken heart of each individual person, multiplying the atmosphere, of this torment. And let me just say right now, because I'm thinking of my sister, Jo, we pick up on that because we come from a place where we really love our people. So if there can be, this is the Black Magician. He is going just like, Shaolin martial arts. He's going to use your energy against you. And he knows your astrology. He's been assigned to you to destroy you. He knows that you're thankful and grateful where you come from. So he has built imaginary monsters with disguises on to eat that thankfulness and gratefulness and then take off the mask and scare the living fuck out of you. But listen to me. They scare you by telling you you're crazy. You're fucking crazy. And I know there's some people with a lot of support around them, and I'm not really talking to you. They may be from afar calling you crazy, but it's a lot different when you feel like maybe it doesn't make sense, but maybe you are telling yourself that you're crazy. This is the black magic. And literally, I feel like I should say I don't believe this about Tracy Twyman, but I know for a fact I believe Tracy was murdered. I know for a fact, and Maria's here to say I know for a fact Tracy was murdered because she said I know who murdered Tracy. The men who murdered Tracy. She said, "Believe me, Joe, they're not getting away with anything." But on the material matrix level, it's about your will, your choice. So if they can flood the zone to confuse you enough and overpower you to make you think that this is you and to kill yourself is the answer, that you're the bad energy. That's why you can't get away from it. That's why it won't go away. That's why the medicine won't help. Or the medicine puts you in a zombie state. That makes you wonder, well, maybe it's better to be dead than be a zombie. This is exactly the progression of the black magician. I know because I went through it. I went through it hard fucking core. I had 2 daughters, 3 years old and 1 year old. And it was convincing me that my energy was hurting them, that literally who I was. I mean, this is the Christian center thing. Because let me tell you, Maria, I know this might sound a little crazy, but you see, people will, in these archetypal stories, will become, people in your life to you if you're going to live on this magical plane. And Loki's wife, Loki, lose the key, wife Sin is, first of all, so beautiful. She's Donna. And the adoration, worship, and love of Donna, who is Sin. I mean, I feel like it is a magic It's a antidote, a magical antidote for me to keep saying to you, you need to love and adore. If you're our people, I break the power over you that keeps you from loving and adoring and enjoying sin. SYN. The beautiful and devoted wife of Loki Lucifer. Lucifer. She's the wife that is eternally by his side. She's the Valkyrie. Sin. Let me tell you how they flip it on its head and spit in your face. Sin is the eternal helper. She's the archetypal symbol written with the author's intent was to magnify how much he loved this woman and how he believed her frequency was healthy and uplifting for all people everywhere, and how he wished that we would all be sinners, worshipers of the beautiful Diana Sin, the sister of the goddess Sif, the giantess Tuatha Deanna Danu Dana. Let me tell you, white people, quit getting your history from people who hate you. Are you that stupid? Do you know they profess a religion that says you're unclean, you're an abomination? You are a Gentile. And they smile to your face and hug you and touch you. And they're like, I'm not a racist. But you are a goyim. And on that note, let us begin our reading. And I put the glasses on because these lights. I'm one of these people that strobe lights make me sick and shit. But I don't want things to be dark, necessarily. Here's Mary right here. Here's the precious cat, Mary. Here's Mary right here. She's the nicest, sweetest cat that ever existed. Her real name is Marilyn because she's got a beauty mark like Marilyn Monroe. And she's a mother of some of my other cats. She's so good. Aren't you? You're so sweet. All right. For the reading, let us read. Let us remember, recover, return. Okay. From an interview with the one and only author of Maria Orsic teachings, Miguel Serrano. Right? They are asking Miguel, you are, I believe, a worshiper of Shiva. To what extent is National Socialism a reflection of Hindu cosmology? As propounded, for example, by Savitri Dave. I just want to point out here how, we're brainwashed with a thinking that if you dare say anything about race, you're a racist. But I want you to get to context. They're saying the essence of your religion, a worshiper of Shiva, esoteric Hitlerism, is a reflection of a red race, religion. Do you see how this uh, explodes, disintegrates any like notion of the racism we think? We think of, I think of racism as judging an individual by the color of their skin, not the content of their character and who they are. Miguel Serrano says he is and we are, as the people of the avatar, we're not even able. There's a inner code within us that's not able to do that. It's not racism. It's injustice. It's unfairness. They invented the word racism because they're the most unfair, unjust people you could ever imagine. Literally, we're chosen and you're not. It couldn't that this is ultimate supremacy. And I just wanna, back up to this question before. Do you have a medical I mean a metaphysical do you have a metaphysical view on the origin of the races or a Darwinian evolutionary view? Hmm? I am opposed to Darwin in my conception of race. I do not have evolutionary views, but involutionary views. What a pity that my books, Adolf Hitler, The Last Avatar, and Manu, The Man to Come, are not yet published in English. This was in the 80s. Because there you would find an Orphean and Hitlerian cosmogony. Spirits, or shall I say, beings, came to this visible world and embodied with matter in order to fight the demiurge on this plane. Do you hear that? That's a perfect way of saying you entered the matrix in 2026 in our view. This was 40 years ago, right? Listen to what he said. Our cosmogony is something you haven't even thought of. Spirits, or shall I say, let me get simpler, spirits, right? Or let's get simple, beings, people, came to this visible matrix and embodied with matter in order to fight the demiurge, Yahweh, on this plane, which is the real creator of the atmosphere vibration of this world, Satan, Yahweh, Jehovah, who in turn created the Jewish genetic robot in order to contaminate the planet Earth. The first terrestrial embodiment of these spirits took place in a polar body or a Hyperborean human race. From there, in comes the dramatic involution story of the mixture of the pure vibration with the original earthly beings, right? The AI beings. In the Matrix, these would be the AI beings. He calls them the original earthly beings, which means they have no potential to remember, recover, return, which means we don't really know them, which means when we mix our energy with them, we suffer. This is the mixture. It's evolved or involuted, right? The first terrestrial embodiment of these spirits took place in a polar body or Hyperborean race, the giants. From there, in comes the dramatic involution story of the mixture of the pure race vibrationally with the original earthly beings and their religions of human sacrifice. Then came the Aryans, which means twice born. That is, those who try to recover the purity vibration of the firstborn, the first human race. This is the true meaning of racism. Shall I read it again? Then came the Aryans, which means Aryan means twice born. That is those who try to recover the purity of the firstborn. Stop. Listen to me. What this means is when you came to the matrix and you were firstborn, you lived one complete life, whether it was a day, a month, 10 years, or 100 years. The firstborn life repeats. And the twice born is the Aryan who has recovered who he is, recognizing that he has already been born, making him first already born already, firstborn. And he realizes, I must magically be born again on another energy plane, the one you go to when you die, and I must be born on that plane of existence so that when I die here, I will not repeat my life over and over, but I will I will metamorphose into the astral body and I will leave. I will go. I will get on with what I came here to do and finish this mission. That was kind of my commentary, right? Let me go on. Are you, I believe, yeah, I'm sorry. You are, I believe, a worshiper of Shiva. To what extent is National Socialism a reflection of Hindu cosmology, as propounded, for example, by Savitri Deve Serrano? Shiva is the same as Wotan Odin. Both of them in the beginning were only heroes of the polar or Hyperborean race and embodiment of the archetype. Legend has made them gods. The first race, the giants, had the power called Vril or Odil, which has now been lost. The task of the esoteric Hitlerist is to try to recover the power of Vril and become like Shiva or like Woden again, the overman, the higher man, the true self. So, in other words, try to recover the Vril to become who you were before you came here. Okay, back to the interview. Do you view history as cyclic? And if so, do you consider, like Oswald Spengler, the West to be in irreversible decline? Should we seek to save the West, or as Nietzsche said, to push the falling so that something new might emerge? That's the question. Serrano, I think the view of history as a cyclical phenomenon in the Hindu and Greek way of thinking is the appropriate one. The eternal recurrence. The eternal recurrence. We are now at the end of the cycle, or Kali Yuga. It is like a harvest. The exact number of grains have matured, and very few have done so. A new age will bring the sun again in a new earth, or in the soul of the actual earth, and to prevent her from perishing with everything else. The exact number of those saved have left this battleground in UFOs, the spiritual machines. With Hitler, the Führer, Wotan Shiva. I think Spangler confused the cyclical ideas of the Hindus and Greeks, diminishing and transforming it into a mechanical and biological situation of growing and dying. He circumscribed this to the decadence of Western civilization, when really it belongs to the whole world and for the planet Earth as well. And as for pushing the falling, it is really quite ridiculous to think in those terms because it is not necessary at all. The acceleration of time will bring the end even before we think or can expect. Yes. Next question. How do you view the present world situation, Miguel Serrano, with the push towards a new world order, American hegemony, and global consumer culture? Great question. Gotta love the Chilean interviewer. Just loves Serrano. The bankers have been preparing the so-called New World Order since the beginning of history. The global consumer culture is the means of achieving it. It is already here. With the end of Bolshevist Russia, international capitalism is destroying national borders and sovereign states. Soon after this will come the end of capitalism, of paper, plastic, and electronic money will come. The technotronic and electronic and cybertronic globalism will serve very well to impose the theocratic Yahweh, Jehovah world order. Together with virtual reality and computer technology. With virtual reality, the bankers think they have discovered a magical device capable of striking the last mortal blow to actual reality, or to say, to Mother Nature, in a way that even nature cannot defend herself, they think, and they believe will be destroyed with all the rest of us. I hope you will understand this satanic and horrific or diabolical plan. In connection with all of this, I would like to state very clearly that I am absolutely against people or innocents who, on the edge of the abyss, are playing like children with the word Satanism and diabolical. He's absolutely against people who are playing with this word, Christians. And even worse, they are mixing all of this with Nazism and Hitlerism. Absolutely disgusting. Many Satanists do not know that they are manipulated psychotronically. In fact, hypnotized by the CIA and the Mossad and other such organizations. The esoteric Hitler's war is not only on Earth, but throughout the whole universe against the servants of the demiurge. It is a terrible but glorious war, and we do not have time for people who will only damage our sacred fight with all the kookiness that comes out of California, like Satanism from these Zionists, as well as I keep saying February. I think March 7th, March 3/7, March 7th, from St. Louis, Miss Maria, and tonight's Rune. We're coming to you. We want you to remember, recover, return. Part of that is the Tyr rune, right? Tyr rune, the Tyr rune, and that rune says, "Do not fear death." Tyr, fear, the year, fear. Do not fear death. And it is like a arrow going up. An arrow going up. Like Maria just said, being the Scorpio goddess, it's like something erect. If you know. And we are reading from the book that Maria has been saying since 2012. That in the book, he says, I wrote this book because a goddess was appearing to me, meeting me. And he said, in a polite way, she commanded me to write this. And he says in Manu that he may not have wrote it because Manu, he had to write twice. They broke in his house and stole all the copies of the original manuscript, including the very handwritten first copy. Right? Let me turn here. I feel like I'm looking at nothing. Right? Okay. Miguel Serrano's inspired by the goddess Maria Orsic, ultimate avatar, the religion of our ancestors, which is a blueprint applied to each age. We came from the Pisces, the Great War, great World War I, World War II, which ended the world, but now we have the overtime World War III. It's all one. It's all one great war that will always make us know as white people how fucked up we are. I mean, we just have to really come down and be like, because we're light skinned, don't seem to do anything to stop us from absolutely annihilating each other. How many people, how many innocent civilians died? And I'm not saying that Germany, most of these, or nearly all of these, were committed by the so-called good guys, America, England, and Russia. And it was them who initiated a illegitimate, illogical war principle of we will kill as many, and let me tell you, Bible people, Bible, knowers of the Bible. Does this sound familiar? We will kill innocent people, civilians, men, women, children, even the babes suckling. until you can unconditionally surrender, which has no definition. Unconditional. Otto Ran says, and I read this before, but let me read it again. The face in the moon, the fire. Or actually, yeah. Okay. Now, let me not read that again, but let me read this. Remember, we were talking about the twilight of the gods. And maybe we have done Tyr. I'm getting confused now. Maria's here. She said it doesn't matter. Just read. Right? We were talking the Chronicle of Ora Linda, Orira. Right? The twilight of the gods, the end of the age. Right? The Eddas is what best tells us of the end of Hyperborea before us. The pulsate land, right? The region of Baal Dur Apollo in the Satya Yuga, right? Fire. And this is going to be part of the Sig rune, so I don't know exactly where I am. Like Maria said, it doesn't matter. Fire. Element. From page 327. There, in the region of the North Pole, in a now vanished continent with an even climate and a benign sun, the earthly Hyperborea arose. According to Spanuth, the Atlantis of Plato was located there, governed by twin kings. I totally remember Maria telling me this in 2011. I switched bodies with the Queen of Atlantis, who, had these twins, sets of twins, she was saying. I can't remember. She said 5. I think she said 5 sets of twins, 10 children altogether. And I know now that part of what is meant is that Donna lost 9 children, literally were murdered, and she had one more, right? That's the literal. Here's the legend myth. Atlantis, governed by twin kings, disappearing when the comet in the Greek myth called Python, the comet in the sky called Python, came dangerously close to the earth. Today, it's called Halley. Basilia is the capital of Atlantis. I believe in ages much more remote in time and in more than one Atlantis, repeatedly flooded in the eternal return within a circular spiral time. Let me read that again because it's foundational, shattering, and rebuilding. I believe in ages much more remote in time and in more than one Atlantis, repeatedly flooded in the eternal return within a circular spiral of time. It took me a long time for Maria trying to explain to me this, that the giants had a complete total world before us that ended. A whole history like we have. Even back to the text, even before the arrival of the first glaciers, On the material plane of the demiurge, men and women lived in the polar region. Perhaps they were no more than a pair, or one man alone. The penetration into matter of a acier or veneer. You hear that? He's talking about entering the matrix. Should I read again? Even before the arrival of the first glaciers on the material plane of the demiurge, men and women lived in the polar region. Perhaps they were no more than a pair, or one man alone. It's in your imagination. The penetration into matter of a acier veneer. They meditated their way here. They penetrated into the matter. We have already seen how number is ladder, right? Number in general. We have already seen how number is later and goes in direction, relation to involution and decadence. His stature would be gigantic. Then number came, and the blood, like a fluid not completely material, where memory was kept, and the fire of vril circulated, allowing communication with those who remained on the other side. Do you hear? Then number came, and the blood, like a fluid, not completely material, where memory was kept, and the fire of vril circulated, allowing communication with those who remained on the other side, at home on Venus, not in the matrix. Right? Number, the information that controls the technology, and then your memory into this virtual blood. The physical attributes of ancient Aryan Hyperborean race are unknown to us today. You hear that? Would those set for the Buddha give us some remote idea today? In the Majja Nikaya, 32 attributes of the Aryan race are enumerated. Yes. And he goes on to talk about, however, this description does not correspond in full with an Aryan Hyperborean race, because it is written later when the Aryans established in India had already mixed with the native colored races. Hyperboreans were blonde with blue eyes. This description contrarily describes an Aryan with very black eyes. Moreover, it was said of Buddha his extended arms reached below his knees, and they sculpted him with a bump on his head. Was that the third eye, the lost organ? Strange signs giving an indication of divinity. The Merovingians were also marked by a striking sign, a mane of wild boar on the shoulder and a red cross below the heart. They were so described to indicate the divine attribute of royalty, something not human. From the lowest chakra upwards, Muladhara, the sacral pelvic plexus, controls the external genital organs, represented by the lingam for the masculine and the yoni for the feminine. Here, the kundalini reposes, sleeps, is coiled. The libido of current psychology. Svasvahana, hypogastric plexus, internal organ of secretion and reproduction. Manipura, solar plexus, nutritional. Anahata, heart plexus, circular. Vishuddha, cervic, respiratory. Ajna, reflexive nervous system. Sadhasrara, Rara, Sasra, brain, pituitary, voluntary nervous system. The tree of the chakras is the terror tree of Yggdrasil, of the Yggdrasil. In polar Hyperborea, to which we refer, the inhabitants are still divine. The fifth born woman in a Hyperborean family preserves the quality of vril, which is also She has the organ of communication with simultaneous worlds, with the Siddhas, of whom the Hyperboreans are the representatives, their advanced ones on earth on Gerda. The woman teaches and practices the cult of magic amour that makes individualization possible, the resurrection of absolute personality. Moreover, custodian of the Grail, this carbuncle incarnated on earth together with those same Hyperboreans, and on which the rune wisdom of immortality is inscribed. The history of the past race, of the origin of the primeval world, the nuptial fatherland. Mm-hmm. The Hyperboreans came from there, entering this circle of circles by a topological fold, by a window out of Venus, or by a click of the mind. Without this remembrance, this memory, everything would be lost forever. There, in front of the Grail, listening to their own blood, their own music, next to the fire, Hyperboreans carried out the rite of many trinken. They drank each other's symbolic blood, preserving the memory of origin, to thus enliven the incredible adventure here undertaken in this exile in matter, in this war without quarter against the enemy who, one knows, closes in around them. And because this time accelerates in these regions, which will be dark and cold, the virgins of the black sun exhort the hero to hie to their weddings, the magic marriage next to a fire. They are the wives of fire. Before joining their warrior, they have done so with the fire of Saturn. And this perhaps remembering those faraway divine times in Aryan India when they entered the bonfire where the body of their dead husband was consumed. This rite was called sati, from Saturno, the fire of origin, your Agni, your Angie, our Agni, the Hyperborean virgins are the wives of Agni. In the Vedic India, the wedding is held next to the fire of the Aryans, right? Tyr, the warrior, Rune, part 2, I think it was, right? Tomorrow will be Sig, will be our Sig. And we'll be right back with